Welcome to The Other Dimension with the team, Damon Penny, Ben Winfield, and Louisa Brown. We guide you through the supernatural, the occult, and the unexplained, answering questions that will make you question your grip of reality, with special guests guiding you through everything from demons to divination, cryptids to crystals, religion to skeptics. We explore in depth the true meaning of the unexplained. So strap in, kick back, and enjoy as we enter the other dimension.
Hi everybody! Friday night.
I'll do it. I'll sort the dog out. You stay there.
Welcome along to the other dimension. Big shout out to Natasha, already locked in. She's quick off the mark. Guys, welcome along to tonight's show. We are going to be talking about haunted locations. But until we get to that point, I want to tell you about the people that are helping us here on the show and the shows that are up and coming. So
welcome to The Other Dimension Network. Exploring the unexplained. In partnership with Embrace the Dark, Paranormal Science Beyond the Grave, Haunted Museum and Spirit Shop, Stoke. And lock in to our other shows. The Witch's Closet with Scarlet Witch, Divination with Louisa Brown, Occult, History, and Science with Ben and Lou. Only on The Other Dimension Network.
There we go. Hey!
We've become a massive network now in a short period of time, just with a few people added.
It's just crazy how much it's grown. Like people, I was talking to someone the other day, and they was like, "Wow, have you been podcasting for a long time?" It's like, lucky, like year and a half, maybe 2 years. And like people think
2 years.
Yeah, people think we've been doing this for like 10, 11 years, man. We haven't. We've literally been doing.
Start before COVID, didn't we?
Literally, yeah.
COVID specials.
Yeah, literally, we started like during lockdown. We literally started during lockdown, and it's like when you think about it, the progression of the show, and I'm not talking about listener base, even though listener base is getting bigger, but just the progression of the show, how more professional it's getting, how we're getting bigger guests on the show, and like the itself, it's just growing. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Can't complain. But guys, yeah, welcome along. It's your Friday Night Paranormal Fix. It's the Other Dimension live in the building. You got myself alongside the Paranormal Power couple, Ben and Lou. And tonight we are talking. Yeah, Lou's gone invisible. She drank this potion that Scott gave her for the show, and she just disappeared. So we ain't got a clue.
She's currently sorting the dogs out. I just need to, before we start talking about this, talking about tonight's show, I had to pass some information on that a colleague of mine is after. It's mainly towards people in the East Midlands, but during the Beltane celebrations, a friend of mine who is a curator, well, not curator, he's a ranger up on the Nine Ladies Moorlands. Those of you that don't know Nine Ladies, it's a historical religious site, shall we say, in the Peak District in Matlock. If anyone happens to been up there between sort of when was Beltane? It was last weekend, wasn't it? Yeah, last weekend. So if anyone happens to be up there between Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, he thinks. And so anyone doing any graffiti on any of the stones at all, if you have any information on that, if you'd like, email the show, please, so I can pass it on to, because he and one of the local police are looking into it and trying to find out who decided it was a bright idea to scratch graffiti into historical stones.
crazy. Some people just have no respect.
Any information would be appreciated. Like I say, if you can email the show with the information, I can pass it on to related people. But that is mainly for people in the East Midlands. It would be much appreciated. I know Jacqueline's on, bless her. She'll be able to talk about 9 ladies.
I know 9 ladies.
We just all they want to know if anyone saw anyone graffitiing. That's about it, really.
Cool.
But yeah, unfortunately, I had to start with that because I've been asked to gather information on it. Yeah.
Wicked. Like I say, jungle is massive. So, yeah. Guys, if anyone has any information, we know that stitches get stitches, but this is one of them times where we need to give the information over because it's just people being absolutely disrespectful and there's no need for it. There is no need for it. All right, Christina, don't send stars. Guys, please.
It shouldn't let you because we're going through StreamYard rather than through Facebook normally. So it shouldn't allow stars.
Don't send stars.
Yeah.
We just have to have you watching and commenting.
Yeah. We haven't activated it in any way, shape, or form, so just ignore stars. We don't accept it. I'll put a post up as well later, but we don't accept stars because 1, it's pointless, and 2, we don't even know how to activate it.
And number 3, we don't want stars. We're not
just want your comments and interview and interact. That's all.
Instead of sending stars, send a comment.
Send love.
Yeah. So tonight we're talking about haunted locations. Now I know Lou's got a list of the top 20 haunted locations. We're going to go through them, and I bet you any money out of the top 20, I haven't been to not one, because I basically, if you spell my name backwards, if you spell Damon backwards, it's Nomad, and that's what I do. I just sit in my room all day, and that's it. So yeah. Let's see what
Christina says it that she sent some, so it must have let her. Oh, thank you, Christina. You're so sweet.
I know, like Jacqueline, for example, saying I hated that Facebook had added it.
Yeah, they.
Also,
I thought that with us going through StreamYard, it might not let people do it.
No, they because when I was watching Scarlet Witch's show the other night and it can't send stars, I was like, oh, what are we doing?
I thought I know if you go through like just Facebook, then they've automatically done it. But I didn't know if going through StreamYard would kind of like bypass that whole situation.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
you can send it. We will, because we don't want stars. We're not in it for the money. We're in it for the fame and fortune and the groupies. That's all we're in it for. So, I'm only joking, you guys. Right. Locations, let's get on this, guys. By the way, if you're wondering why I've got my sleeve up, it's not because I'm trying to show off my muscles. I have a new tattoo and it really hurts, and I'm being a proper little whamsy, so just leave me to it, please.
Have you got your list?
I have got my list. Okay, so we'll see how many we get through. They just provide talking points, really. Ben, before I went through the list, Ben had a few in his mind that he thought might be on the list, but surprisingly, they're not. I don't know. Can I just move it a little bit? Because I'm kind of, if I just shuffle over, actually, I'll shuffle.
Dogs in the way.
There's dogs. There's cables. Okay.
Anyone there as well wants to guess what number 1 is? Go for it.
I don't know if they're like necessarily sort of like, you know, in that kind of order. They are just 20 of the top 10, top 20 things.
Yeah, look at number 1. They're in order.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So we start at number 1 rather than, you know, at number 20. Rather than my experience, like, you know, any 20. Okay. So number 1 is the Chateau de Brissac in Maine-et-Loire, France.
Chateau de Brissac in Château-Noir.
The site, dubbed as the Giant of the Loire Valley, this is the highest castle in France, boasting 7 floors, 204 rooms, numerous portrait galleries, and a private opera house which seats 200 people. It was a fortress built by the Counts of Anjou in the 11th century, and King Louis VIII dropped by in 1620.
Just went, yeah.
So, either of you guys heard of it then? Obviously, Ben has.
I have.
Yeah?
Supposedly, there's a really famous photo taken in that place called by the lady in black, and that's what the film was based on, with Daniel Radcliffe.
Okay. Because on this it calls her the lady in green.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I'm off by a little like colour. I don't know.
A little colour. But yeah, if it's still the basis of it, just change the colour. Yeah. Because then it goes on to say the ghost. The most active is La Dame Verte, the Green Lady, who was apparently the illegitimate child of King Charles VII and was later murdered by her husband in the chateau in the 15th century after he caught her having an affair.
Oh, well, that's just pretty much normal back in them days anyway, so...
The only thing it doesn't tell you is how it happened and what else was cracking up. That's why I'm like not surprised at them.
Yeah, it has popped up a couple of times. I'm quite surprised. I thought Bran Castle would be number one, but there you go.
Okay. Number 2, Monte Cristo Homestead, New South Wales, Australia.
Australia's like majorly haunted. People don't realise like there's so much stuff that goes on in Australia. It's crazy.
Yeah, they just accept it though. That's the strange thing.
Yeah. It says the site, a late Victorian mansion with intricate cast iron lattice work built by wealthy landowner Christopher William Crawley in 1876, reputedly Australia's most haunted house.
It was Crawley, not Crowley.
Yeah.
I was wondering if there's a connection somewhere along the line there, but yeah, Crowley. Okay.
Yeah, apparently there's a young child who was dropped down the stairs, a maid who fell from the balcony, and a stable boy who burned to death.
Oh,
yeah. Your ghosts.
Yeah, just like a normal house then. That's pretty cool. Oh my god.
Then we've got
all that energy going on there. It's probably like created its own entity because you have that parafix in it where certain negatives can create its own entity in it.
Yeah. Break the veil and bring something through.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be through. Namely speaking of this next place.
Oh, okay.
Bhangar Fort, Rajasthan, India.
Bhangar Fort, yeah. I've
heard
it.
The ruins of a fort city built in the 17th century. It consists of fort walls, bazaars, havelis, royal palaces, and numerous temples with 3 grand stories you can explore. But do not be fooled by the beauty of these ruins, as they are ranked as the most haunted fort in India.
Crazy. Also, do not allow tourists in after sunset. No one is allowed within the walls after sunset. There are armed guards around this premises at night.
It's punishable by 11 years in prison if you break in after sunset. Good evening to Steve White, locked in from Oklahoma. Welcome along.
Nice. Welcome.
Yeah, this place has a wizard called Singhaya and a princess called Ratnavati who spurned his advances. Legend has it that the enchanted oil he hoped would make her love him turned into a boulder when she threw it away, and it crushed him. But not before he cursed the palace, condemning the inhabitants to death without any hope of rebirth. Another story suggests a local eccentric cursed the fort because its shadow overpowered his property, and apparently if anyone attempts to build a roof for the fort, it will collapse.
There's a lot to unpick there. Like, first of all, this wizard that gave her an oil, she threw it out of the window and it turned into a boulder, and he still had time to sit there and throw a curse out before the thing crushed him to death. He must have been talking really fast.
just on that bit, with boulders, because I always like to bring this one up because it is the most unlucky man in the world.
Oh, is this the guy that got hit by lightning and survived and then got
No. This is another guy. Obviously, that guy like ranks up in the second one. This guy survived Pompeii. Right. So he survived the volcano erupting. He survived the pyroclastic throes, all that lot. They found his body just at the about a mile out of Pompeii.
Right.
Part of the mountain, Mount Vesuvius, come flying off, obviously with exploding, and smashed in the back of his head. So he survived Pompeii being pyroclastic flow. He survived everything just to be nailed by a rock. Well, I say rock, a boulder on the way out. I have got the photo. I will put it up on the page. You have to feel sorry for this guy. You can just imagine him getting out of the city and going, "I've survived."
Yes,
What?
bosh, gone. It's like, oh god, you've got to love history, man. I love history. I think it's amazing some of the stories you get from history. Crazy.
Number 4, Myrtle's Plantation, USA.
Yes, I've heard of this place. Didn't
Um,
Ghost Adventures do they done an episode here, and so funny enough, in this episode, Zach found a demon.
oh,
Surprised, I didn't get.
crazy that is, crazy.
Yeah, didn't think that would happen, but there you go.
Situated in the small town of St. Francisville, northwest of New Orleans, is the mansion of Myrtle's Plantation, bordered by a 125-foot veranda. Stained glass front door leads into a grand foyer displaying a huge French crystal chandelier. Can't see. A chandelier.
That's just a really posh calendar. It's a French
calendar. We have a calendar.
I
I'm going to turn to March on my calendar.
don't know what happened there. I'm having troubles today. I blame my little dog for the lack of.
Yeah, all right.
Oh
I
dear.
need to whack the ends.
You just need to oil your beard in general. It's like a little scrubby scrub.
You know, I've got bulldog beard oil, and it's the most amazing feeling. It's got tea tree and stuff in it, and you put it on, and you feel like your chin's flying. It's great. It's so good.
Right, the ghosts.
There goes.
With 10 people being murdered in the mansion itself, it's no surprise there have been so many reported ghost sightings, the most famous of which is Chloe, who had her ear cut off by her lover. She wears a green turban, peering intently at visitors while they're in bed, and has even appeared in a photograph. A more recent photo also shows another young girl, known as Ghost Girl, peering through the window of the house.
Very original.
Wow.
Very
Yep.
original. I wonder how they come up with that name.
Mm.
Isn't
Yeah.
Myrtle's Plantation as well? Isn't that the place where they believe there was a ghost sighting of Colonel Sanders, the guy that owns KFC?
Well, there was a soldier,
All
a
right,
voodoo
okay.
priestess, which is more interesting, voodoo priestess, and the ghost of a previous owner who was shot in the chest.
Oh, okay.
Don't know if Mr. KFC is there.
Well, supposedly he appears with a family sharing bucket and it's finger licking good, so it's definitely one of them ghost stories to check out. What? It's true. I actually heard a story that he appears and people like, I don't think it is Colonel Sanders, but because he looks so much like him, the ghost is called the ghost of Colonel Sanders. So I might be wrong, but there you go.
Number 5, Dragslom Slot, Denmark.
Say that again.
Dragslom Slot, Denmark.
That sounds like
We here at the other dimension don't wish to insult anyone that happens to be from Denmark or any of the Nordic countries. We do love you guys. We just happen to struggle spelling.
It just sounds really.
We just struggle in general.
Yeah, it just sounds like a really dodgy dessert. You know, like when you go to your like in-laws and they bring out like this dessert and you just don't want to eat it.
With my dyslexia, it looks like dragon slong.
Now you are insulting them.
Welcome to Dragon Schlong.
Yeah, so Dragslom Slot. Dragsholm Slot or Dragsholm Castle was originally built in 1215, making it one of the oldest castles in Denmark and reputedly the most haunted castle in all of Europe. In the 16th and 17th century, parts of it were used to house prisoners of noble or ecclesiastical rank, and in 1694 it was rebuilt in a Baroque style.
Oh.
Mm,
Oh, very nice.
yeah. The castle is thought to be home to at least 100 ghosts, including the Earl of Bothwell, the husband of Mary Queen of Scots, who died as a prisoner in the castle. You may also see a white lady wandering the halls, whose skeleton was found encased in a wall by builders in 1930.
Why is it always a white lady?
Like, that's just normal, really, for most old castles. I think they're built on like concrete stones and skeletons, whatever. Yeah.
You too.
She's been a saw number 6.
What's number?
Ancient ramen.
Oh. Yeah,
We
I've heard.
already read that.
Have they still got the chair there? The ram chair, the devil's chair.
No, you're thinking of a different place where they had to pin the chair up. It's in a pub. The devil's chair's in a pub, and
Yeah,
they had to nail it to the roof.
Oh no, I'm swearing it's not, because I've been to the Ancient Ram Inn and I sat in a chair and it's made of wood and it's got like it's got 2 ram's heads on the thing.
Yeah. I thought you meant about the devil's chair, because
Yeah.
the devil's chair's in a different pub. It's pinned to the roof because there was like a handful of people that sat on it and they all died, so they literally got the chair and pinned it to the roof so no one could sit on it.
Nice.
Some idiot will find a way.
Yeah.
Just walking through the upside and holding on for dear life, going.
So, built in 1145, the inn was used by priests who kept slaves and workers in there to help build the St Mary's Church. Located in Watton-under-Edge, it is situated on 2 ley lines, places believed to have spiritual energy from Stonehenge. It has also been reported that it was the scene of a child sacrifice and devil worshipping. It is widely believed that the redirecting of water on the ancient Ram property caused a portal for dark energy to open up, meaning many ghosts haunt the inn. The witch's room is said to be haunted by a woman burnt at the stake in the 1500s as she was accused of being a witch. A high priestess has been spotted sitting on a bed. A centurion on horseback has been seen walking through the walls. The agonizing screams of a girl heard. The monk in the most haunted room, and even a succubus is said to slip into the beds of visitors.
And isn't it home to that famous ghost they wrote a book about? I can't. When you was talking, I was trying to remember the name of it. But there was a book written about like 4 sisters or 2 sisters or something, and her ghost is at the Ancient Ram Inn. Oh, I can't remember who it is. I can't remember who it is. My brain is completely blank. Oh,
I just know when you remember.
I'd be like crazy. Oh, what's her name? There was a book written about them. They were sisters. Oh, fuck's sake. Right, anyway, now to the next one. This is going to bug me. I can't remember their names.
Halfway through the show, David's going to go, ha-ha!
Yeah, I remember it. What was that? I can't remember their names. Oh, look, your pillars there.
Okay, number 7. The Castle of Good Hope, Cape Town, South Africa.
Right.
Right.
Not heard this. I've never heard of South Africa.
The only reason I've heard of this one is because my boss is from South Africa and we happened to be talking a while ago about stuff like this. He brought this place up.
Built in the 17th century by the Dutch East India Company, the Castle of Good Hope is South Africa's oldest building. The first ghost was spotted in 1915 when the apparition of a tall gentleman was seen jumping off the side of one of the castle walls and then walking between the bastions. Yeah, that's that.
Yeah.
Leerdam and Oranji. Another famous ghost, the Lady in Grey, was often seen running through the castle, holding her face and crying hysterically, but has not been seen since a woman's body was found during excavations. Other unexplained events include the bell in the bell tower ringing of its own accord, and the ghost of a black dog that pounces on unsuspecting visitors, then simply vanishes into thin air.
Oh, it's the Grim.
Oh, he's got hiccups. Oh, the puppy's got hiccups.
Oh, that's really cute.
Oh.
I love the way you mentioned a black dog and then you're like, oh, the puppies.
Generally, like,
Got
she
Hickle.
gets obsessed by him when he has pickle.
He's not doing it now. He's actually stopped.
Now we know how to stop the pup from having a hiccup. We just point the camera
Shout out to Ellen Harold, welcome along. Out to Chris Farr. We've got some new names in the chat room
in.
tonight.
Yeah. Hi, Chris.
It's great to have you guys here. We're just going through haunted locations. These are like 20 of the most haunted locations in the world. Just going through these and I'm out.
Well, Bill's got to go.
Bye, Bill.
Bye, Bill.
Yeah, Reddit is. Look, I look like I'm a leper. Anyway, yeah.
Hellfire Club, Montpelier Hill Island.
Been there, done that. Woo! I don't know. Do you know what? I didn't think I would have gone to any of these, right? But I've done 2 so far. Ancient Ramian and Hellfire Club. Been to both of them, so get in there.
So the Hellfire Club was a hunting lodge built in 1925 for William Connolly, an Irish parliamentary speaker. The stones of the building are from ancient passage tombs said to have angered the devil, which first associated the site with the supernatural. The lodge reportedly became a gathering place for a small group of Dublin elites who met for debauchery and devil worship. Its ruins sit atop the summit of Montpelier Hill in the foothills of the Dublin Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Tales of animal sacrifices, black masses, cloven-hoofed men, and murder are linked to the structure. The most popular tale tells of a visit by a satanic creature in the form of a man who was only discovered when one of the players dropped a card and on picking it up noticed the guest had cloven feet. On his discovery, the creature disappeared in a ball of flames. There are stories about a big black cat, the size of a dog, who took on a priest and haunts the lodge. The most regular ghostly visitor is a young lady, believed to have been placed in a barrel, set on fire, and rolled down the hill for fun.
Jesus.
Really
Really cool thing. Not many people know this, right? Yeah, but my mum's side of the family is Irish, and William Connolly, the guy that built the lodge, who owned like the land it was built on, my great grandfather Francis O'Brien, who was a professor of languages in Dublin, was actually one of his very good friends and visited the Hellfire Club twice.
Mm.
I know. So I'm linked to debauchery. So there you go.
The tale of the playing cards is actually something good to read as well. I will say that.
Well, with the
really interesting read.
Ireland is absolutely shrouded in like legends and stories and local stories. And if you go to Montpelier Hill, just down the road from Montpelier Hill, where the Hellfire Club is, there's a little pub. And we were sitting in there before we'd done the investigation. And there was an old woman, she was a regular drinking there, and she actually come over and she was like, "Oh, you guys ghost hunters?" Like, yeah, we're going up to the Hellfire Club. And she just went off on the story of all that. And the main one she spoke about was the one of the playing cards and the hooved animal, or the hooved person. So yeah, it's really cool.
Number 9, Banff Springs Hotel, Alberta, Canada.
I
don't know, is that the hotel you think?
I don't know.
You don't know.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Different one.
Different.
Yeah.
Okay. Styled after a Scottish baronial castle, the Banff Springs Hotel in Alberta, Canada is one of Canada's great railway hotels and reportedly one of the most haunted buildings in the country. There's a bride who fell down the staircase, breaking her neck after panicking when her dress caught fire. She is often seen in the ballroom dancing, with the flames coming from the back of her dress. A family were go on.
It's like the Hunger Games.
A family were murdered in room 873. The door to this room has since been bricked up, but the family can still be seen in a hallway outside the room. And former bellman Sam Macaulay, who served at the hotel during the 60s and 70s, still likes helping guests up to their rooms dressed in his 60s uniform. If you try to tip him or make conversation, he disappears.
Yeah. I just got this image in my head, right? Yeah, like, you know, you're at the desk and you're paying for your room. You turn around and your luggage is just making its way up the stairs. What's it? This is great service.
God, yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a film based on that with Samuel L. Jackson about that place because I think it's got the film's got the same name as the name of the room that's bricked up, and it's all about him being haunted by this woman whose dress is on fire. I'm sure it's that.
Yeah, I know which one you're on about. I
Yeah.
remember the cover of the film.
Yeah.
Like the cover of the DVD case.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can picture it. It's got him on one side. There's a slit and then smoke and then the key.
Yeah.
There's a key lock in the middle of the thing.
Oh, like a keyhole in the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. See, I knew I was right.
Just trying to figure out how.
Okay, try and project that so everyone else can see it. Project the image. Project the image.
I'm being blocked. Sorry. Psychically, I was not in tune tonight.
My inner Zach Bagans wasn't coming out.
Yeah. Oh well, something's demonic.
Speaking of old Zacky boy, this is a place they've been to.
Bobby Mackey's.
No. Although, yeah, they have, but no, it's not on my list.
Ah, that makes a change because it's not bloody haunted. But anyway,
Well, can't. Right. If I say it without looking at it, I can say it, but when you read it, I can't actually say
well,
it.
do that looking at it then, Lou.
I can't do it now. It's all gone.
Ah,
Poveglia Island, Italy.
Poveglia Island.
Yeah.
It's just off the coast of Venice.
In the Venice Lagoon, between Venice and Lido, this small island was a place where mainlanders fled to seek refuge from invaders. Can't speak at all now. In the 14th century, Venetians infected by the bubonic plague were sent here to die, and when they died, they were buried in giant pyres. Burned in giant pyres. The site was also used, I'm going to get Ben to read in a second. The site was also used as a mental asylum during the 1800s, where patients were experimented on and tortured. Ask a local and they will tell you the island is full of ghosts and cursed with unhealthy spirits. Voices and screams are often heard, and visitors have reported seeing dark, fleeting shadows. Many visitors say they begin to feel an oppressive evil feeling as soon as they step on the island.
See, I've heard of this place, but not by the name that you're saying. There's a name that they call it, locals call it, and it means in Italian disembodied voice. But I can't remember what, because I can't speak Italian, so I can't remember what it's called. But there's an Italian guy at work who talks about it. He's from Venice. Whenever I mention a ghost hunter, he's like, "Oh yes, you need to go to this place." It's like, mate, I could just about afford to go and visit Ben in Derby. How am I going to get to Italy, man? Come on, seriously.
It's really, really hard to get out there as well nowadays.
Yeah.
You've got ties to some
Passport.
ghost adventures.
Guys, I said shouts out to Amy Samantha. She's saying, Ellen Howell, all good, listening on the way to Doncaster, wondering which one of these venues I can visit. Well, if you've got a passport, pretty much all of them. If not, I would go and check out the HRAM Inn and Montpellier Hill, the Hellfire Club. Both of them are really, really good.
Where are you going to in Doncaster? Are you going on a spooky night there?
Me?
Yeah, let us know what you're doing.
Yeah, because Doncaster's not too far away from us. It's far away from Damon because he's like in Essex.
Can I just say for the listeners out there, right? When Ben and Lou say it's not too far from them, it's because they don't mind driving 4 to 5 hours to get to somewhere. When I say it's not too far from me, it has to be, if it's any more than 20 minutes down the road, I ain't going. All right? All right?
I'll just put her file. No martial arts show with our daughter.
Legend.
Cool.
Nice. Feel free to, guys, we say this a lot. Feel free to put stuff up on the page. If you're doing something cool and you find it interesting, put it up on the page.
Yeah. I was going to put a post up the other day because I finally cut my toenails after like 300.
Yeah, no one wants to see that.
Damon.
I think Kate's here on the head. It's the Voce Incorporea. I think that's what he says. Something like that. It's definitely something in Comperia or something. But he talked when you talk to somebody who's like fully Italian, they talk so fast. It's incredible how fast they talk. When they'll talk English really, really slowly. As soon as they get into their language, it's like they sound like drum and bass MCs. They just go. It's crazy.
Oh, another one.
Oh, I just put in the
Oh.
phone time.
I was doing that.
Sorry, Damon.
Thank you.
Just
We are
one
always,
you press the button.
who's a budding ghost investigator who works with Craig and Jem. So she'll be scouring the Premier in for ghosts, no doubt. Well done. Big
Oh,
No.
you.
no.
Have to say hello when you're next in the museum when we're up.
Yeah, the other people pop on as well. Oh.
Yeah.
We've got Dave's come on.
Hey, Dave.
Hello, Dave.
Oh,
It's-
is it really slow for you guys? It just looks really slow when it's off.
It's my phone.
Just your
it's re-
phone.
Because everyone, there's a saying over here in England for all you guys who are in America and other places in the world. There's a saying over here in England, and it's everybody knows a Dave. And it's funny how we always have a Dave in the chat room. So big ups to Dave.
Welcome along, yes. It's,
Amy,
I'll pronounce it for you on Sunday, Damon.
yeah, Amy said, me and Ellen saw you guys last Friday. You were both awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
Thank you very much.
That was
Well,
good.
Yeah, that was a very
It
good
seems
one.
like it's really like long time ago though.
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah.
that was a
It
night,
only a week ago,
Yeah.
but yeah,
the night a lot of people weren't expecting.
that's good.
right.
They came for a chat and it ended up in an investigation.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there was the investigation. It was planned.
Yeah, it was planned, guys. I will say that, but it was just randomly Howard dropped everyone into the investigation.
That hit the box. Right, number 11, the separate prison, Port
Port
Arthur,
Arthur, Australia.
Australia. Oh dear. Until the late 1800s, the separate prison in Tasmanian's secluded Port Arthur housed some of Britain's toughest criminals, taking inspiration from the works of British writer Jeremy Bentham. His panopticon style prison block thrived on completely isolating prisoners to a torturous degree. The separate prison operated a silent system where prisoners were hooded, placed in solitary confinement, and forbidden to speak to anyone. Conditions were so unbearable that countless inmates would murder their fellow prisoners. They'd rather face the death penalty than spend another minute there. So, as ghosts, there are hundreds of hooded inmates said to wander the halls at night. A
Great.
handful of the 1,000 people buried in the unmarked burial ground.
OMG. For everyone out there, panopticon style of jail means that the way it works is you have a central building with separate corridors coming off of it. Just to clarify that. I know that only because I worked as a prison officer for a year, so there you go.
Basically like Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah. Well, no, Guantanamo Bay is what they call a village-style prison because it's what you have a main building, but they're set in blocks. A panopticon prison means that it has one central. It's normally an octagon or a pentagon style in the middle, and then the corridors come off of that. The reason they designed it that way is so that if prisoners were to escape their cell, they'd have other doors to go through, and they'd have to go through the main building to actually fully escape.
I meant in the way they torture people.
Oh yeah, well there's that.
But yeah, it's nice to know the difference as well.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Bit of useless.
Yeah. Weird.
What? I'm missing. What's happened?
I'm having a weird deja vu moment, which is usually weird for me.
Soul memory.
Mm.
Lou looks like she's really on edge right now. She's like, I don't know.
When Ben starts acting weird, that something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Something's not right. Something's going to kick off, or who knows what. If Ben looks worried and confused, yeah, that's that time to start panicking.
You either start panicking.
He's looking concerned.
Anyway.
Anyway. I'm so glad I'm in Essex right now.
Let's just But for those that obviously remember Christmas, how I didn't mention any prophecies this year. There's a reason I didn't mention any prophecies, because this year is just going to be completely not buggered up. But yeah, one more. The second one's not far starting. So yeah.
As
But anyway, let's
there's,
carry on.
plus a single officer can patrol all sections from single main hub. Yeah, it all come about from the design of CCTV and computer generated doors locking systems. So yeah, see how sad I am. I'm really sad.
No.
Yeah, number 12, La Recoleta Cemetery, Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
Not
Located.
a load of spirit, not only a house load of spirits. If you dig up the ground, you'll find some good cocaine.
If you dig deeper than that, you'll find Nazis.
Yeah.
Guys, can we stick to topic?
Sorry.
Like, seriously.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's all right.
Oh. Brilliant classic.
Right, located in the Recoleta neighborhood of Buenos Aires, the cemetery, I'm not going to try and pronounce it properly, is regarded as one of the most beautiful cemeteries in the world. First built in 1822, it is full of ornately designed tombs, elaborate sculptures, and mature, shady trees. Buenos Aires' best and brightest are buried here, including actress Eva Perón, the former First Lady of Argentina. There are reportedly multiple spirits wandering the grid-like aisles of Recoleta. One of the most famous stories is of Rufina Cambaceres, a wealthy 19-year-old woman, the daughter of a beloved Argentine author. Urban legend states that heavy rain postponed her burial. When the groundskeeper returned to the tomb to lay her to rest once the weather cleared, he found Rufina's coffin lid ajar with scratch marks on the inside. The legend goes that she had been buried alive and woke in her coffin after suffering a case of catalepsy. If you hear a jangling noise in the breeze, there may be the ghostly keys of David Alino, a gravedigger who worked at the cemetery for 30 years. He killed himself at the cemetery, allegedly after his tomb was completed, and was buried on site.
Well, it saved the wake, and it saved the natural burial thing. If there's any place where you're going to kill yourself, best place to do it is in a cemetery. Less distance to travel. Just putting that out there. But it sort of goes against what we say, because we've spoken on the show before about cemeteries being haunted. We've said that they're not. You have obviously, you have your, like, what they called, your cemetery guardians, your grave guardians. But why would a person want to visit where they're buried?
Well, these are, if you sort of look into how most graveyard sightings are, they're all residual energies.
Yeah.
They're not what we know is like intelligent spirits. It's all just stone tape theory in a graveyard.
Yeah.
Literally just stone tape theory.
Yeah, that sort of makes sense. That does make sense. Even with the stories that Lou was just saying, all the spirits that have been seen in this cemetery, they sound like residual. So, yeah, that does make sense.
Now, the next location, I've heard many stories come out of it, and none of them have been nice.
Go on then, drop it on us, Lou.
Jazirat Al Hamra, United Arab Emirates.
Never heard of it.
All I'm going to say is a hot spot for gin.
An alcoholic stream.
Once a flourishing pearl fishing village, Jazirat Al Hamra near Ras Al Khaimah was completely abandoned in the 1960s. Some say it was because of tribal conflicts, others blame the changing tides. The most popular theory is that the residents were driven away by ghosts. Local legend has it that the ruins are haunted by malicious jinns who wander the dirt roads of the town disguised as animals. Visitors regularly hear strange noises and spot apparitions amongst the mud coral houses.
Oh, sounds cool. I've heard the story before of Jim disguising himself as animals. I can't remember. There's obviously a specific one that they disguise themselves as. I can't remember which one it is, but
No, it's usually anything that belongs in the desert. any desert animals. Same as the Native Americans, the same ideology. Their spirits will manifest as animals because we accept animals more. As more. I'm trying to think of the word. We accept an animal's presence more than we accept a spirit's presence, which can give us false security.
Yeah, that's it. It is whole
Are you
security.
okay?
I'm fine.
You're a bit twitchy.
I'm good. Always am after.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I'm so happy I'm sitting here. This is great. See the panic building in Derby right now is amazing.
Right, I'll have you on speed dial, Damon, so you can whiz up here if I have issues with him.
I'll probably be asleep.
Need an exorcisms.
Let me just go through these comments quickly. Ayakara, welcome. Always on the show. I love her comments. They're amazing. You can also have spirits that have been intentionally trapped depending on where in the graveyard. Very, very true. Wondering Willow says, I went to visit my grand's grave once, and she did ask why I was standing around there because she wasn't in there. I just said I wanted somewhere quiet to have a chat. That makes sense. That does make sense. The Stoke Hunters of Ghost-on-Trent. I want to see a big, massive Jinn Scorpion. That would be awesome. Like something from the film with The Rock in it. That would be quite cool. Jessica saying, heard a Jinn will never give their name in a human form. Has this got truth to it?
Yeah, Jinn will never, ever give any name to human because they are humanity to them is seen as nothing. We are nothing but dirt between their toes.
100%. Freda says, I used to go to a market in Egypt to buy a camel. Or was it a Jinn? No.
To be fair, in an Egyptian marketplace, it could be bloody anything.
Yeah. We'll accept that the Freda went to the market on a Jinn, so she's the only listener to listening to the show who's ridden a demon. Big ups to you, Freda.
Okay, we've got time for another one, haven't we? Yep. The Langham Hotel, London, England. Damon, go visit.
That?
What?
Which one's that?
The Langham Motel.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I've never done it. I've never done an investigation there. I have stayed there twice. And you know when you walk into somewhere and it just has a really eerie feeling?
Yeah.
We're in London anyway, so it's full of weirdos. But anyway, like just being in this hotel, it gives you really makes you feel jittery, almost like what Ben's like now.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah.
Okay, the 153-year-old Langham Hotel has long been a staple of the high life in London. Yep. Literary legends Oscar Wilde and Mark Twain stayed here, and the luxury accommodation provides the setting for a famous Sherlock story, A Scandal in Belgravia, by Arthur Conan Doyle. As befits one of London's finest five-star hotels, the ghosts that haunt the corridors here are cut above 2. Reports have suggested that there are at least 5 ghosts in the 500-room establishment, with room number 333 rumored to be the most haunted of all. Given the size of the hotel and its lengthy history, you could potentially run into any number of spirits. However, your haunting encounter could potentially be with one of Langham's most esteemed ghostly guests, such as Napoleon III, the first president of France, or a German nobleman who was said to have killed himself in the hotel.
Yep. And to stay in the hotel is when I went there, which was probably about 10, 11 years ago when I stayed there because it was like a family party. To stay in the room overnight was over £400 just for a night. They do have an Oliver Cromwell room. They do have a Sir Walter Raleigh room. So it is like very upper class. It's very, very upper class. I stood out in there like a sore thumb because I'm common as hell. So it was just like an experience. But I mean, from that list, there's some there that haven't had a mention. There's some really cool places in England alone that haven't had a mention, as well as other places in the world. I mean, you've got places like Waverly Hill Sanatorium in America. You've got the Churchill bunkers in central London. in Essex alone, you've got Kelvedon and Hatch, which is really, really haunted, really, really good. So there are.
What I'll do is I won't go into detail on that. I'll just read you the last 5 names out. But yeah, I won't go into detail. So number 15, you've got the Teatro Tapia, San Juan, Puerto Rico.
San Juan.
We've got the Taj Mahal.
Wow, I did not expect that to be on there at all.
It is ridiculously haunted.
Yeah. You've got Carlbeck House, Ontario, Canada.
I've not heard of that one.
18 is the Chaonei Church in Beijing, China.
Oh, all right, okay.
19, Kelly's Castle, Batu Gajah, Malaysia.
Right.
And number 20, the Casa de la Poesia, Bogota, Colombia.
Oh. See, I'm very surprised. There's a couple that haven't popped up in that list, international-wise. Like I said, Waverly Hills Sanatorium hasn't popped up. That's really, really haunted. Another one that hasn't popped up is Leap Castle in Ireland, because that's meant to be home to a really famous elemental, the element of wind.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that didn't pop up.
There's also the forest of Mount Fiji, Mount Fiji in Japan.
Is that the dead forest where if you
That's
wander
the
in?
suicide forest, yeah. There's the Black Forest in Germany.
Yeah.
There's Black. I think if I remember correctly, I might not be remembering correctly, but I think it's Black Valley in Romania as well, considered dangerous forest.
Yep.
But
they're not even on.
You got Amy's comment here about no Premier Inns. What about that Premier Inn that you stayed in?
Oh Jesus!
Ben
yes.
stayed in a spooky Premier Inn. It's not a new build. It was a
Oh,
converted old
God.
place.
Where was it? It was literally.
Great, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was down London. We're working in Epsom.
Epsom.
And it was round Epsom. And
You sent me first.
I walked into it and there was a person on the desk and I said, "Oh," walked straight up to her and went, "Oh, this place is haunted then, isn't it?" Because I'd seen something come down the corridor that just sort of got halfway down, looked around and went the other way, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I asked them at the desk. I went up to them and went, "Oh, this place is haunted then," and they went, "Yeah, no one likes staying in this building on the counter by themselves after night."
Doesn't say which one it is, but there's a photo that Ben sent me.
That's old Victorian. That's
Yeah.
definitely Victorian. What people don't realise is when you go outside of London now, because I work in London, so when you go outside of London, all the buildings they build new hotels now. But when you have a hotel or a food chain or a big company wants to take and put a branch somewhere in London, most of the buildings are listed, so they can't just build something new. So they have to sort of adapt an older building. They don't realise how haunted these places are.
Yeah, it's basically what they had to do with this place. They just adapted the whole place into the hotel. It was really Lou might find.
No, not yet. I'm trying to Google it.
Well, it was really weird. It's the first in all the years of doing the job that I do where we stop all over the country. This is the first time I stopped in somewhere and just gone, "This is fun."
You should be able to remember, you stayed there.
Yeah, but I stopped in a hotel in different locations every single frigging week.
Amy says, oh wow, we have heard this one in Doncaster by the Dome is apparently a lady roams the corridors. My kids thinks it's Ace.
Nice.
Honestly, people don't realise it's. I know you can look at buildings and sort of go, "That's haunted," but I've been in new builds, like hotels and places like that. Saying that, right, here's a really cool story. Wherever I work in central London, the building that we work from it was only built like 2 years ago, and they're just porter cabins that have been adapted into like this big office. They are haunted as hell because when I do the night shift, I have to stay there till like 12 o'clock at night. No one's there. I'm there on my own. Right? When I turn the lights off, I run because the spirits in there is not very nice. But he's like, not in the sense, because things like that don't bother me, in the sense of like he just pop out of nowhere and scare the living crap out of you. And when you're on your own, you're like, it is a bit spooky.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be an old building for it to be haunted. The land can be haunted, or there's so many different ways in which places can be haunted. I know, like from Lou's list, most of the stuff we was talking about there was like, oh, this is Denmark's oldest building, this is Portugal's oldest, so on and so forth. But it doesn't have to be old to be haunted.
No, you can get, there's many cases of what's known as wandering spirits, where a spirit will just happen to wander into a building and go, do you know what, I like it here, and stay.
Yeah. I mean, great show tonight, fantastic. It's something that we've done for a long while, so I really enjoyed it. I mean, we have got an absolutely manic weekend coming up. I know that Kate's interviewing Lou on Sunday.
Yep.
I think you guys are going out tomorrow night. You're going on investigation tomorrow night. You're not going out.
No, we're getting boozed up.
Oh, yeah, me too. It's my brother's birthday tomorrow, so I'm going for a karaoke and bowling night. So, yeah. So, yeah, got that. We've got divination next week, Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot coming up. Guys, if you are interested in joining the Other Dimension Network, if you are interested in having our own show here on the Other Dimension, please contact us. We do weekly, we do bi-weekly, we do monthly shows. We are looking for presenters from all walks of the paranormal and conspiracy to host a show here on the Other Dimension to help us get more information to the listeners. So if you're all you have to do is contact myself, Ben or Lou, or contact the page, and we will get you set up. And if you want to know how easy it is, just speak to the Scarlet Witch, because she's come on and she's made a big splash here on
She's in the comments, Frida, and she has actually asked the question if we just got time. I think we've got time for a quick question.
Yep, go for it.
What's your theory or opinion on the sightings of the black-eyed children in Cannock Chase Woods, etc.?
I think it's absolutely disgusting for anybody to hit children nowadays and give them black eyes. It's just wrong.
No.
What? Oh, we're talking about the spirit ones. My bad. Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. I really do apologize for that, guys. I got confused. No, supposedly the black-eyed children from Cannock Chase, supposedly they've been linked to demonic stories, because the idea that demons will present themselves with something missing because they're not solely human, the fact that the children are missing their eyes, they're always linked to demonic stories. But personally, in my personal opinion, I don't think they're demonic in any way, shape, or form. I don't know if Ben agrees with me and Lou agrees with me on that one, but that's my take on it.
They are a completely different entity unto themselves. They're not demonic.
There we go.
To the question, because Damon says that they're missing their eyes, which makes a black eye, or are they just eyes but just blacked out?
Same thing.
No. If you've got no eyes, then you've got no eyes, but have they got eyes that are just black?
Yeah, I know what you're thinking. No, with the black-eyed legends, it's their eyes that are blacked out.
Yeah, so they've got the eyeballs, but they're just black eyeballs.
I know, in Lucifer or Supernatural, you'll be able to, you know, when the demon eyes black out.
Yeah, I'm just going under the pretense of what I've read about it. I've never been to Cannock Chase to experience it personally. I've read stories where
Ben's smiling. Ben used to live around there at night.
I've read stories that people have wrote up online where they've gone and investigated, and they've linked these black-eyed children to demonics because they're missing parts of their body. I just don't believe it. Like Ben said, I believe that they are an entity within themselves. I don't know what they are. I couldn't tell you what they are. I've never experienced it personally, and I'm one of them people. I have to experience something personally to get an idea about it. So I wouldn't want to sort of like go, oh yeah, definitely demons, but I don't think they are.
Karen is Karen. Hi, Karen. It's been a while. Not everything is demonic. You are in the right place for that. Pretty much nothing is demonic on this page, literally.
Demons everywhere.
We're the only group of demonologists that don't believe in demons.
Yeah, literally. I mean, it's crazy. Like, just how many people. To be honest with you, Karen, nowadays people just use demons in the sense of to try and become viral on the internet. You know, you'll get a team that will happen to walk across Asmodeus or Lucifer or Satan themselves, and he's coming through on the Ouija board, and oh my god, now they're viral because everyone wants to watch the video. It's not really true. I don't believe it anyway. So yeah. That's what I believe anyway.
Yes, other than that,
we've come to the end of the show. So once again, guys, if you are interested in joining the Other Dimension Network, you want to run your own show, we give you creative manipulation. You can do whatever you like with your show, whatever you want to do in your show. All we would ask is just don't get us banned. So if you want a show on
that's my job.
Work, we will get you on there. Don't forget, guys, Sunday, Lou will be getting her grilling from Kate, which is going to be so fun. So make sure you lock into that one. And Thursday, Lou will be back
Kate
in the...
sent me Kate's mum sent me a stone.
Was that Hagstone?
Yeah.
That's
So
so cool.
it's a funny angle.
So
I
it's
can't
Kate
remember.
that sent me.
Well, Kate's mom, because obviously
Kate.
Kate's over there.
The dogs keep licking it.
I keep trying to lick my stone.
So, guys, Lou will be back in the building on Thursday. She'll be doing a divination show talking about automatic writing. So make sure you lock into that one. See, I read tonight before I come on. Yeah.
Well done. It's a good boy.
And we'll be back next Friday for our normal show here on the Other Dimension from 7 o'clock. But from us guys here at TOD headquarters, it's bye from myself and bye from Ben and Lou.
Goodbye.
Remember, guys, if there's no other explanation, there is always the Other Dimension. Have a great weekend.